Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News here at the South Florida Conservative News Center. It is Monday, September 22nd, 10:30 a.m., and the crowds have died down out in Indianapolis, and all the vendors have gone away, and the dreams of people such as Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes has been dashed by the pretty pointed yet poignant closing act of the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service, not meaning President Trump, but rather the widow, Erika Kirk. I'll try to get a good version of her speech. It runs about 25, 30 minutes long. And she did a very good job. Unfortunately, when you're watching something like this, you're looking at it from the unfortunate political angle, which is what the grifters are looking at. Is there going to be weakness? Is there this, that, and the other thing? A number of them, luckily, were staved off earlier prior to the memorial service when the board of directors of Turning Point USA and its many subsidiaries, excuse me, unanimously appointed Erika Kirk as the CEO, which was her husband Charlie's wishes. Uh, the only time when you see this, and you've seen a lot of things in the last week or so, especially amongst the Jew haters and this, that, and the other thing, that I knew Charlie, I knew this, I knew that. Well, they obviously didn't know him well enough to know he was going to put his wife in charge. So let's talk about her because she deserves a little bit of attention, actually a lot of attention, because she will be spearheading the movement going into the future. And I do not think this is a woman you are going to be able to push around quite as easily as some of you think will happen. So just go straight through it. September 10th, 2025, the conservative movement lost one of its most prominent voices. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was assassinated while speaking at Utah Valley University. Old habit. His death shocked the nation, sent ripples of grief and fear across the political spectrum, and in its showing, tore away whatever level of civility that the socialist movement had in the United States and proved them to be the monsters that we have been discussing here at this channel for the last 4 years. The death cult, very remindful, I guess, is that a word, of Muslim Brotherhood activities. But I digress. So let's stay with this one. Okay. Out of that tragedy, we have now seen a new figure who was probably there all along, but due to their traditional values, we did not see her quite so much. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika. Okay, we're going to talk about who she is, the life that she led prior to the assassination, and why she may be the one, and probably is going to be the one, to keep her husband's vision alive. She was born in 1988 in Scottsdale, Arizona. She grew up in a Catholic household where service was part of daily life. Her mother would take her to soup kitchens and shelters, teaching her that faith was never separate from action. In high school, Erika excelled at sports. She played basketball and volleyball and carried that drive to Regis University before completing her studies in political science and international relations at Arizona State. Is that Sun Devils? Go Sun Devils. Then came public recognition. In 2012, she was crowned Miss Arizona USA. Didn't know that, right? But instead of chasing fame, she created Everyday Heroes Like You, a nonprofit to shine light on community workers who rarely get attention. She would later add more to her resume, earning a Juris Master, a doctorate in Christian leadership, and launching her devotional podcast called Midweek Rise Up. In 2018, she met Charlie. Their connection was immediate. This is from their own mouths, this section here. Their connection was immediate: faith, patriotism, and a shared mission to reach America's youth. They were engaged in December of 2020 and married the following spring. Charlie often joked with real imagination, real admiration, that Erika was the better writer in the family. Behind the scenes, she was more than a wife. She was a sounding board. She was a partner in strategy, and eventually the mother of their two children. I'm not going to put in who they are. That's beyond my scope. Then we have the assassination on September 10th, 2025, at a campus event. Pretty standard for Charlie. Obviously not. Okay. He was killed at just 31 years old. His loss is not just personal to many people. It threatened to unravel a movement built around his energy, his voice, and his brand. He's the second movement leader that has been targeted. The first was President Trump, who was the leader of and still is the leader of what is the remnants of the MAGA organization, and Charlie Kirk's turning point, which will ultimately, if continuing, will be much more of an influence on American politics than either MAGA or the Tea Party were. If it continues, guaranteed. Okay. So, unlike Martin Luther King or Robbie Kennedy, who they always keep putting out there, who were part of a broader coalition, Charlie Kirk was Turning Point USA. Without him, the future was kind of uncertain. But what happened next could have been a chaotic situation. As I said, outside agitators and opportunists were circling around there. The Shapiros, the Fuenteses, all these other shitbags who were trying to get in there, get a hold of that sweet, sweet Turning Point mailing list, or to try to get people to become disillusioned with the death of the leader. These are all things that have occurred. You've seen it in their videos. You've seen it amongst the food chain of people that feed off of them as well. All right. But luckily, the Turning Point USA board of directors acted with speed and unity. They unanimously appointed Erika Kirk as CEO and chair. So she is not a symbolic widow, but as the rightful steward of the mission. And it was not random. As I said, Charlie had expressed that this was his wish, should the unthinkable ever happen, which implies that, yes, he did think about it at least once and had a serious document together. Obviously, a document enough that these people would follow it. So I'm assuming it was legal in some manner to put Erika in charge. In her first remarks, Erika said it clearly. His passion was my passion, and now his mission is my mission. So what does that mean? So everyone says stuff like this. What does it mean? Erika has pledged not only to preserve Charlie's legacy, but to grow it. Reports suggest she wants to make Turning Point 10 times larger. So there's already been discussion. When it would be mourning for anybody else, these people are discussing their movement. Talk about dedication to your husband, right? Or dedication to the organization. And the demand is there. Tens of thousands of students have already reached out to join or to start new chapters in the week since his death. Her leadership style may look different. Charlie was definitely rapid fire debate and confrontation. We don't know much about Erika, as she does have a writer's touch. She did communicate very well considering the situation. If anyone is going to judge her on exclusively what she did at a service for her recently murdered husband and say that she's a loser, which I've already seen, they're out of their mind. That's how you're going to do it. Let me kill one of your family members and see how well you do at the reception. Not as easy to do as you think. Okay. Together, those differences may create a more durable, holistic movement. That is going to be honest. So you got to be honest about that type of thing. The role comes at a steep cost. Erika is now a young widow with two children to raise. She is forever tethered to a husband who in death is destined to become much larger than he was in life. You're talking a quasi mythical figure. Seriously, look at how this is already spinning out. Whose shadow she must now live within. This is her life. One way or another, she is choosing to be positive, strong, and move forward. Okay? Unlike many political widows who retreat from public life, Erika is stepping forward, yet her burden is much heavier. People say, well, I'll say she has to juggle child rearing. She's a single parent. And everyone's like, well, she has money. She's also the leader of an international organization at a time when the opponents of that organization are more than willing to use violence to murder and intimidate the opposition. Her life going forward will be one living with ghosts, the ghost of her husband, the ghost of what was lost, the ever-present threat of ideological enemies who you now know what the stakes are. Okay, this is a lot for any person. I applaud her for making it this far. We'll see how she is in a year or so, right? So that hopefully history is not going to remember Erika Kirk merely as a widow. She's now the steward of the legacy of Charlie Kirk. She's the defender of his mission, the living proof that one man's vision can outlive his death. So her story is only the beginning of this. As she steps into this role, she carries both the weight of tragedy and the promise of continuity. So we shall see what occurs. She has already promised to continue to do the campus outreach because that was something I think we've talked about on other, I know I did it on somebody else's show. She has to go out, or somebody has to go out. Somebody has to sit in that chair and say, fuck you to these maniacs. You have to be able to stare them down. It's going to be hard because they are not going to stop. I mean, the president is going to try to do some things, but until you can address the fact that these are homeborn terrorists, we have no law out there to deal with them. The thing you see with Antifa and the international terrorist thing, it's because we don't have a homegrown terrorist rule. It's something we need desperately, and we will not get as long as the Congress and Senate are seated the way it is now. We need an overwhelming majority in the Congress and the Senate, and we need to remove certain key Congress and senators from the Republican Party who we know will just turn around and stab the country in the back. So this is the time is now. You know, best of luck to this woman. Those of you women out there who or men, whoever it is that wants to watch this video, I'll include it in the comments. Somebody asked me why I didn't have another video in the actual show, because what happens if you've already been banned once, and I personally was banned, the other guys haven't been banned. If you put anything like that in there, they can use that against you and close the video down for copyright infringement. So I'll put it in the comments. Otherwise, that's why it's done that way. All right. So have a good day. Monday the 22nd. It's a new you, and we shall see what goes on here. Goodbye.